going today, everybody? This is Michael out in Maui. So today I thought we'd talk about accuracy of your throw, how to start getting more accurate when you throw your discs. I guess the biggest thing about accuracy comes with balance. So once you've learned your technique, you've learned your X step, and you have the release down, those are the mechanics. Once you have that down, it now comes to balance. So starting slow is the best way to start learning balance of the throw. Sometimes I like to play the course with just my mid-ranges because they don't go as far, but I could try to place them where I want them to land. You know, since I'm not throwing my mid-ranges, 300 plus, it gives me a better opportunity to try to place them. So when I'll play the course, and I'll try to drop my disc at a spot. And that's the first thing you really got to start doing for accuracy, is that you always got to start thinking of where you want your disc to land. Because if you pick a spot on the fairway to land your disc and you miss that spot, then you analyze, why did I throw it 50 feet to the right of my target? And then you could look at your lineup. Did you slightly open your shoulders? Did you, try to look at what you did that put the disc over there? So it's real important to always pick a spot. If you missed a spot, analyze why you missed your spot. And like I said, start with the mid-ranges. Play the course with mid-ranges. It's a great way to play the course. It makes it fun. And like I say, you can get into throwing angles and landing them a lot easier because you're not throwing as far. So the other thing that's pretty important on accuracy is running up on a straight line to what you want to throw. When you throw your first shot off the tee and your disc lands on the grass, you now have to throw from behind that disc. So when you come up on it, you have to land. Let's say the orange disc represents my foot. I have to land there for my throw. So when I take my run up, if I'm going to do an X step, I need to X step, stride, and land right there. If I'm going to just step and throw, if you're here, step and throw, you need to land right there. There's a rule, it's called a foot fault. So a foot fault is when you don't land there. So it's important to practice your run up. Always practice with a disc on the ground or a marker. That way you get used to always running a straight line, to your line. This disc to the basket is your line. And you run up on that line. If you step off the line over here and I'm not on here, the line goes right through here. So this would be a foot fault. Your foot is off the line of the disc. So this would be a foot fault because I'm not here. I need to be here. So if you're running up and you're X-stepping and you land here, that's called a foot fault. It's a 1-stroke penalty. If I run up and I step here, that's a foot fault. 1 stroke penalty. Even on the back, if I run up and my stride is short and I'm back here, that's a foot fault. 1 stroke penalty. So when you're practicing, always practice with a disc down in front of you, so you can always practice running up to it for your line. You know, you just got to pace it out or figure it out. So when you're X-stepping, you know, you come through here and you step, it's there every time. So that's real important. The throwing straight is still starting from here. This is the starting point. You have to start by landing behind your front disc that you first threw. The difference of leaving a disc on the ground compared to putting your marker would be, if you leave the disc on the ground, you have to throw from the back of the disc. So this is my area here. If I want to gain 10 inches, I could take my mini, put it on the front of my disc, remove this disc, and I now have gained 10 inches. So now, even though I have a mini here, my foot still is this wide, but I still got to land behind the mini. So it'd be the same thing. So if you have a mini, you got to do your run up. It's here, here, and then you plant your foot right there, and you're just behind the mini. So the first thing about throwing accurate and straight is getting your run up straight. So always practice with a disc on the ground that you'll run up to for your throw. Always pick a line where you want your disc to land. When you make your throw and it doesn't land where you're wanting it, analyze what you did. Don't blow it off and go walking down the fairway. You come up, throw the disc, and you watch it, and then if it doesn't land where you want, take a second as you're picking up your bag to move down, analyze why you missed it. You know, a lot of times, you know, I'll do the same thing. I'll be offline a little bit from my target. I'll actually run up to it on a slight angle. So like if my disc is here in front and I'm throwing straight ahead, sometimes I'll actually, you know, get my line wrong and I'm standing over here, or maybe I'm a little over here. So when I run up, I'm here and I throw it straight, but because I came in a little bit of an angle, you know, now I'm throwing it just to the left of my target. So you got to make sure when you're running up that you plant your foot on the line. So if I'm here and I want to throw it straight, you know, everything needs to land here. If I accidentally come up and run a little off-centered and then I plant my foot a little there, now I'm going to the side a little bit. On the tee-off box, it's the same thing. You know, a tee-off box, you know, you got your rectangle to throw from. And a lot of times on the tee-off box, you know, there's no marker on the ground. So you got to just kind of pick a line off the box that you're going to go through. And a lot of times I'll pick a line that I want to come through where I want to land on the tee-off box. And I'll actually step to the right of my spot that I actually wanted to land in to make the throw. So it's real important to always make sure you land your foot on the line. So on the tee-off box, you pick a spot, you know, you need to land there. You know, because that's your line that you've chosen for the shot. If you land off your line, you know, that's why you pulled it to the right 50 feet. So when you're learning stuff, you know, you want to do all this, you got to slow everything down. You got to run that stuff through your head until it clicks by itself. You know, when you're on the tee-off box, you know, you take your line, you figure out that's where I want to step. I want to step right here. There's a tee-off box, I'm stepping here. You need to concentrate on that. So if I'm here looking down the fairway, then I got to pick my spot. What am I throwing? So there's my spot. There I'm going down. So when I come up, I need to land on that line. If I pull off my line, you know, then you got to analyze the throw. Well, I missed through it because I didn't even land where I was wanting to step. That's probably like the biggest reason why people throw offline is just the setup. You know, it's a little different when you're on the fairway because you have to land behind your disc. You know, if I have a disc sitting there, that's my line. I mean, it's easy to see. It's a big disc. You know, so I can see the disc, I see the flag. So I run up and then I land right here. But when you're on a tee-off box, there's no marker on the ground. So you really got to pay attention when you're on a tee-off box of landing your foot on the line. But yeah, so that's probably the biggest reason people miss the line is because, like I said, they don't even step their foot on the line that they had chosen. So it's very important to pay attention to where your feet are landing. Pay attention to where your feet are landing on the fairway disc. You got to be right up to it. Other things like a grip lock. Grip lock is when you throw the disc to the right. And a lot of times that's the same thing where you come in and you're wanting to throw really hard, so you're pulling on it, but your mechanics break down, and instead of pulling through with the shoulder going up, you open the shoulders and then you fire the disc. And the reason it goes so far because it's the correct throw. You actually do everything correct. You know, you fire the wrist, everything follows through. It's just you open your shoulders and you're facing to the right. And that's basically you're overthrowing. You're trying to really pull. So when you're coming in and you find yourself always throwing it hard to the right, you know, pay attention to what your shoulders are doing. If you're pulling this way compared to pulling this way. And a lot of times, if you keep your head over more, you want your head over here. I notice when I come in with a good balance and my head's on top of my feet, it's really hard to yak it to the right. Most of the times you throw it to the right because you come up. So you're coming in like this, and right here, you stand up. I mean, our back's too straight. I'm up, and then you turn, and you throw it to the right. So the other thing, so when you're throwing hard and it's going to the right, a grip lock, you gotta make sure your head stays in front of the feet. You want your head to be here. Because if I run up and I throw and my head's on top, it's really hard to roll my shoulders under and grip lock still because my weight is on top. So you come in, the weight's on top, and that forces you to drive straight, and it doesn't allow you to open up. So it comes to balance once again. It's all about the balance. You got to keep the balance. Keep your head over. You stand up and you'll have a tendency to open up and throw it to the right. For throwing the little pop out to the left, you know, you'll run up and all of a sudden you throw it and there'll be like no power on the throw. Just kind of gets out of your hands on the left. The problem with that is you're in too tight to your body, and so you're trying to gain space, so you push away from you. And that's where that pop out comes. It kind of just falls under, you just sense it. So you're here, the disc is too close to your body, So you clear space by basically going from inside out on your throw. So you're here, you're coming through, you're too close, and so you push away from your body. And because you're pushing away, that's why you have no snap on it like you would a grip lock. Because when you're pushing it away, you kind of just release it. So when you're finding yourself always kind of just doing that little left side, you need to make sure you kind of, we talked about earlier, your disc needs to go from outside in. And we talked about making a V. So my disc should start out here, not on the body line. So my body line would be here, the disc should be out. And you want to pull it back in to the V that you're making. So you come out, now it's cleared from your body, your hips can fire because you're not boxing yourself in anymore. So you're outside, everything can pull through now. And that's how you get your throw. But if you're too close, you'll get those little pop outs. And that's also a balance thing. I mean, because same thing. I mean, if you're on top of the disc like this, throwing, it's really hard to get that pop out. The pop out happens from standing up too straight again. That's probably the biggest fault of everybody's, is you stay standing. Too many people want to throw like this. You stay up. You'll come in, you'll make your throw, and you're standing. And that's where everything happens. Because if you're here, it's really hard to throw it that little pop out. Because you're pulling through, your arm's out here in the clear, and it eliminates the little left. If you stand up, so your body's up here, you come through, you're too close to the body line, you clear space by trying to lean out of it, and that's where you get that little dunk out to the left. So most of those things all come down to body angle and body balance. You really got to pay attention to your balance. I mean, if you need to, just exaggerate leaning over to just get it in your system to stay on top. Stay on the balls of the feet, not the heel. If you're gonna play basketball and you're covering someone, they don't teach you to stand on the balls of your foot to cover someone, because you have literally no movement. But it'd be real easy to fall over from this position. So when you're covering someone, you're on the balls of your feet, your knees are bent, and now I'm in front. So now I can move left or right and not fall. Same thing with your throw. Your throw is on the balls of your feet. So when you run up, you got to think of it like you're coming in just like that. Bent knees on your toes. Back here, you're on your toe. You step through, you're on your toe. And then you fire through. But all your balance is coming from your, being on the balls of your feet. So you want to stay on the balls of your feet. And that'll help keep your head over and keep a bend in your knee. So when you're here, and driving through, it's all on the balls of the feet. That's where your balance is at. All your balance is on the ball of the feet. Don't stand up. You stand up is when you mess up. There's only one throw that you stand up and throw, and that's called an anhyzer. If you literally want to throw the disc and turn to the right, you stand up. You come in up here and you clear out by almost leaning backwards so the disc can come through, and you release the disc high on the outside edge. But we'll get into throwing anhyzers and hyzers later, because we're supposed to be talking about accuracy. So that's next week. So for now, just practice on the balls of your feet, like I say, come in, get on the balls of your feet. Do a couple steps, throw, keep low. You know, try to be light-footed. You know, you should be able to stand and move your feet. Like, all my weight is balanced right there. Throw. If you're standing here and you're flat-footed, you know, I'm stiff. I can't even move my legs. You know, then I come through and I'm all messed up. So it's like I say, you know, when you're practicing, get on the balls of your feet. You know, move your legs, balls of your feet. Then just step into it. Balls of your feet, head forward, legs bent. Step behind, drive through. You know. So, anyways, for now, let's go over all that. We'll put together more on angles of throws. But for now, just practice balance. Always pick where you want the disc to land. Analyze why it didn't land where you wanted it. Always make sure you land on your line of your disc on the tee-off pad. Land out your spot that you picked. So for now, let's go with that. So anyways, have a good day. This is Michael out in Maui. Aloha.